What's happening, everybody? It's your man, Old Man Winter, and we back with another episode of No Holds Barred, the unfiltered, uncensored, rough, rugged, and raw. You know what I'm saying? Straight no chaser program, where we tell it like it is. You know what I'm saying? Say what we feel and feel what we say. You know what I'm saying? So today's topic of discussion is a play on old Shakespeare's famous quote, "To be or not to be, that is the question." But what we're here diving into is to be or not to be vaccinated. Is that the question? So, your boy old man Winter got to put his own spin and twist on everything, you know what I'm saying? So we get into it, we're about to dive into this subject matter. Now, YouTube is very, very strict and sensitive when it comes to speaking about this vaccine. And you know how I do. I go hardcore. I tell the truth. You know what I'm saying? I'm giving it to you 100. So, hey, we'll see how this shit, pans over with YouTube with the final product. And at the end of the day, hey, we never know how this shit end up turning out. But I'm not here to spread any disinformation. I'm not here to violate any YouTube policies. I'm here to speak on objective facts and the truth and speak about things, that we're affected by regarding this vaccine conversation. The vaccine situation is become so controversial that it's almost trumps, the famous saying where they say you're never supposed to discuss religion and politics. It always leads to an argument, and it's a very controversial and sensitive subject. And we're dealing with those two things, and now vaccination is seeming like it might be even beating those things out as far as being extremely controversial and taboo to speak about. Nobody wants to talk about it. Everybody has hard and fast beliefs on both sides of the fence. Full transparency, your man, old man Winter, doesn't have the vaccine and doesn't plan on getting the vaccine at the current time. But I am not endorsing, nor am I attempting to discourage anybody from getting vaccinated. We're here just to discuss, more of the focus of this is, as usual, what I like to discuss, which is government overregulation and censorship and governmental control. So it's loosely tied to the vaccine situation, but it just seems like all the moves that the government has made throughout my lifetime, has been a way to wrench rights and power away from the people and put it within their own hands. So, like, when after the 9/11 stuff, all of that shit happened, I'm not here to get on a whole bunch of conspiracy shit, but after 9/11, they created the Defense Department of Homeland Security, and they wrestled a lot of rights away from us. They started infringing on our privacy. They take advantage of these tragedies, whether they're manufactured or whatever the fuck you feel about the tragedies themselves, or these big events that affect our entire society. They use these events to basically wrestle away more power, will wrestle away power from the people and gain a bigger foothold in our society's daily lives and living, and basically gaining more control over the people in our society. Um, and it's not, it is, and it's obvious, in the way that they um, enact these policies and these initiatives and these agendas. So, regarding this COVID-19 pandemic, it doesn't seem like anything has changed. It doesn't seem like there's anything different. It seems like the government is, taking the opportunity to wrestle more power away from the people, as I stated before. Um, Getting into the vaccine situation itself, I just wanted to go over a couple of things. I want to first start off by reciting the actual definition of a vaccine. So we can start from there. And this is anybody can Google this. This is the Google's definition of vaccine. The vaccine, a substance used to stimulate the production of antibodies and provide immunity against one or several diseases, prepared from the causative agent of a disease, its products, or a synthetic substitute, treated to act as an antigen without inducing the disease. So, what stands out to me in this definition of a vaccine is the fact that it's supposed to be a substance used to stimulate the production of antibodies and provide immunity against one or more or several diseases. Um, the what people are referring to as a shot, what they're officially calling a vaccine. Um, from my understanding, it doesn't meet that criteria because everybody knows that's given the shot, we're all told that it doesn't the prevent you from being able to actually contract COVID-19. So is this really a vaccine by the definition of vaccine? Hey, food for thought. I'm just throwing it out there. Like I say, I'm reporting on the straight facts. You know what I'm saying? And by definition, the shot doesn't behave in the manner that a vaccine is defined as behaving, or doing what it's supposed to do. So, you all take that as you may, you know what I'm saying, and do with that information as you will. Again, as I always say, and what will be in the description is, do your own research. I say that on anything that I'm putting out here, any information I'm putting out here, I always say do your own research. And this situation is no different. I just ask that you all know what you're getting yourself into when you're getting yourself into something. Again, this isn't a anti-vaccine PSA or anything like that. Um, this is just putting out the facts and allowing anybody to go out there and figure out what they want to do for themselves. Coming straight from your man, old man. Once I ain't here to, what I'm saying, do no harm. I mean, what I'm saying, I'm only here to put motherfuckers up on game. What I'm saying, as usual and as I always do. So from there, I want to and getting back to the control and censorship and all of that part of this thing. I want to go to the YouTube's policies regarding um information on COVID-19. So this is YouTube's help section, COVID-19 medical misinformation policy. So I'm just going to recite this as far down as I believe is necessary to make my point. YouTube doesn't allow content about COVID-19 that poses serious risk of egregious harm. YouTube doesn't allow content that spreads medical misinformation that contradicts local health authorities or the World Health Organization's medical information about COVID-19. This is limited to content that contradicts WHO or local health authorities' guidance on treatment, prevention, diagnosis, transmission, social distancing, and self isolation guidelines, the existence of COVID 19. Note, YouTube's policies on COVID 19 are subject to change in response to changes to global or local health authorities' guidance on the virus. This policy was published on May 20th, 2020. And the policy hasn't been updated since then. So this is the current standing policy. I would just like to, state, with these policies and other social media sites have similar policy standpoints. Um, where is there room for basically people to voice their opinions on these matters without it being deemed um, medical misinformation? Because if you just don't like what somebody's saying, but it hasn't been uh, debunked in an objective, factual manner, then how can it be misinformation? So it's a slippery slope with this shit. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, well, anything that we don't like you saying, we could just rubber stamp it as misinformation, and then we could, say that you violated policy. But there's no hard and fast rules to say what the fuck is misinformation and what the fuck isn't. And that's one of the biggest problems that I have with these policies, because the policies and my issues with a lot of social media, it just seems like it could just be censorship. It seems like it can be extremely subjective in nature in the decision on what crosses the line from just giving your opinion or speaking on things that aren't hard and fast in no form or whatever, just having healthy discussion, and what crosses that line from a healthy discussion on open topics that haven't been clearly defined yet. What transforms that to misinformation, outright misinformation? Because a lot of what I've seen is, just because the information that's been put out here is contrary to the information that these official organizations put out here, they aren't debunking or disproving the information these other people are putting out. They're just alternative perspective, or it's contrary to these other people's information. But there's nowhere where they're going and breaking down one of these so-called um, anti-vaxxers, or one of these so-called disinformation um, people, one of these disinformation people. They haven't went and blow by blow disproved any of the information that they're saying. They're just saying, because these people aren't towing the line of exactly saying word for word the shit that we're saying is disinformation by default, and they, by these draconian policies, these people should be deplatformed. Their videos should be taken down. They should be given strikes and kicked off the platform eventually if they keep this shit up. And I feel like this is just another way to infringe on our rights. It's a sideways way to get in and infringe on freedom of speech. I believe um, there are certain entities that want to take advantage of the fact that these social platform places aren't properly regulated the way they should be. And then they want to hide behind the fact that, oh, they're a private institution. But then at their will, and we'll get into that even further later. But at their convenience, they want them to face punishments when they aren't doing what they want to do in one scenario. But then at the other scenario, they want to be able to fall back and say they're a private entity so they can do whatever the fuck they want to do in another scenario. So these people basically are hitting a motherfucker with, as I always say, the I'm white and I say so ass motherfucking argument. There's no right or wrong way. It's my way. You know what I'm saying? So whoever, whatever entity is behind the bullshit, it's you can't go right and be right. You can't go left and be right. You got to go whatever way I fucking tell you, and the rules change as we go to fuck along. You know what I'm saying? And that's just the way all of this shit seems to be designed. They throw out the Constitution, they throw out the Bill of Rights. They all that shit goes out the window when it comes time for them to enforce whatever policies or whatever the fuck they want to enforce on the fucking people. You know what I'm saying? And like I say, again, this isn't anti-vax. This commentary isn't about the validity of the vaccine, whether it's good, bad, or whatever the fuck. It's about the 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 intrusion on our fucking rights, on our constitutional rights, on the rights given us by the Bill of Rights. It just seems as if the government and whoever the fuck is behind the scenes pulling the fucking strings, they're at a war with our constitutional rights, and they're constantly struggling to try to wrestle away these rights away from us, little by little, year by year, month by month. Decade by decade. They're constantly trying to wrestle away our rights given to us by the Constitution for whatever nefarious reasons that they have to do this shit. You know what I'm saying? And they use, like I say, these tragic events that happen to our society to wrestle our rightful rights away from us. So I'm gonna go on and read a little more of this policy. What this policy means for you. If you're posting content, don't post content on YouTube if it includes any of the following: treatment misinformation, content that encourages the use of home remedies, prayer, or ritual in place of medical treatment, such as consulting a doctor or going to the hospital, content that claims there's a guaranteed cure for COVID 19, content that recommends use of ivermectin or hydrochloroquine for the treatment of COVID 19. Claims that ivermectin or hydrochloroquine are effective treatments for COVID 19. Now, why is that misinformation? You have medical professionals that have stated that those are effective treatments. And again, I'm asking the question: why is this banned information when you have people in the medical community that have stated that these are effective treatments? I don't understand. They've done worldwide studies and everything at a certain point in time. And like I say, I'm not even endorsing that, but has it been proven? Again, has it been objectively proven that these aren't effective treatments? Or is it just a counter to their vaccine game and they don't have room for, you know what I'm saying, for any other counter narratives? That's, like I say, it's a slippery slope on. Is something misinformation? Is it completely and objectively wrong? Or does it just counter the narrative you want to put out there? So let's go, let's continue. Other content that discourages people from consulting medical professionals or seeking medical advice. Prevention misinformation. Content that promotes prevention methods that contradict local health authorities or who claims that there is a guaranteed prevention method for COVID 19, claims that any medication or vaccination is guaranteed prevention method for COVID 19. So even in their policy, they admit that the shots, you know what I'm saying, the quote unquote shot, does not guarantee prevention from COVID 19. But again, when we go back to the definition of a vaccine, it's supposed to be a substance used to stimulate the production of antibodies and provide immunity against one of several diseases. So, we just putting their information up against, the definitive definition of what a vaccine is. And you be the judge. Content that recommends use of ivermectin, and I've never even heard of that before, or hydrochloroquine for the prevention of COVID-19. Claims that wearing a mask is dangerous or cause negative physical health effects. Now, for the claims that wearing a mask is dangerous or cause negative physical health effects, I'm not sure if they need to update this or something because, um, and you know, it just is what it is. I'm not about to sugarcoat no shit. So if they want to take the video down about me telling the truth about some shit, you know what I'm saying? You could easily do some research, and there have been studies that show prolonged mask use, not just wearing a mask, which, okay, if they want to say wearing a mask isn't dangerous, but a prolonged use of wearing a mask can cause negative physical health effects. So they need to, update this shit or something. So this is what I'm saying. Like, at this point, you got policy that's telling you this is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. You have policy on the books because they haven't updated this. You technically can't say what I just said, which was telling the truth that prolonged use of wearing a mask objectively causes negative physical health effects through objective studies and research. But their policy tells me I can't say that information. So I mean, you see how this shit works? This shit is fucking crazy. This shit don't make no sense. They're just doing what the fuck they want to do. So let's continue. I'm not gonna just harp on this shit for long, but that's just a perfect example of what I'm talking about. Claims that masks do not play a role in preventing the contraction of transmission of COVID-19. Claims about COVID-19 vaccinations that contradict expert consensus from local health authorities or WHO. Claims that an approved COVID-19 vaccine will cause death, infertility, miscarriage, autism, or contraction of other infectious diseases. Claims that an approved COVID-19 vaccine will contain substances that are not on the vaccine ingredient list, such as biological matter from fetuses, e.g., fetal tissue, fetal cell lines, or animal products. Claims that an approved COVID-19 vaccine will contain substances or devices meant to track or identify those who've received it. Now, I'd like to just take time out before I, go forward, just to say that um, this was published in 2020. I believe May of 2020. Isn't that May of 2020? So this policy, this misinformation that's currently on the books, the misinformation policy, it predates the vaccines actually even being released to the public. And they haven't even been updated since the vaccines have been released to the public. People actually have the vaccines, and we have all type of new information out here. You know what I'm saying? That may give you more insight as to what the vaccine actually does to you. How do they have a standard policy that's still from 2020 before that predates the vaccine actually being released to the public? But they have a whole long list of shit that's saying that you can't talk about all of this shit when, hey, some of this shit has actually happened to people. Now, they've gone through hell and high water to, they'll report that motherfucker took the vaccine and then 2, 3 days later they died. But they refuse to connect one to the fucking other. You know what I'm saying? And they have policy that predates even the vaccine coming out that's speaking to all this that you can't talk on any of this fucking shit. The shit seems strange to me that they have a detailed policy before the vaccine even was released to the fucking public. That addresses all the shit that could have, since when this shit happened, that could have potentially that could have potentially been on the been affecting fucking people and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just looking at this shit and putting two and two together. You know what I'm saying? And the shit don't make no sense. They preemptively came up with a policy that's telling you that you can't speak on shit that may actually happen once the vaccine gets released to the fucking public. So even by the current policy, even if the COVID-19, hypothetically, even if the COVID-19 does cause death, they have a policy on the book saying that I can't claim that the COVID-19 vaccine causes death. Even if it really did, and even if it objectively was proven that it causes death, their policy says I can't say that. So, like I say, look at the type of way that they're trying to wrestle away rights and freedom of speech from people and shit. So, even if objectively any of these fucking situations are proven, I can't talk about it because of YouTube policy regarding and other social medias too. All this shit is pretty much a carbon copy on each social media website. So they're basically telling you can't speak the truth, even if shit is proven to be true. Same thing with the mask situation, which now, after having a longer, prolonged time and having more, uh, longer studies, more time with this shit, you know what I'm saying? We're seeing that, even though you got policies that saying this, that this shit actually is fucking real. But they haven't updated the policy. So guess what? If I violate the motherfucking policy, they're gonna go to this policy, and no matter how much real it is in a real fucking world scenario, no matter how much evidence and proof or whatever the fuck it is in the real world, they're gonna refer to this policy and you violated you violated YouTube policy. And the policy, I believe the policy probably haven't been updated by design just to get people not to talk about the shit. But you want to know one thing that I've noticed and shit? This shit ain't no fair motherfucking situation. This shit ain't no fair motherfucking scenario. Because if you talking positively about vaccines and all this other motherfucking shit, and you trying to encourage a motherfucker to get a motherfucking vaccine, it don't matter what do you say, what you do, and what manner that you approach a motherfucker to try to get a motherfucker to take the vaccine. It's no scrutinization. Ain't nobody saying, oh, well, you giving a vaccine misinformation while trying to convince people to get the motherfucking vaccine. You're giving COVID-19 misinformation when you're trying to convince a motherfucker to get that shit. And that leads to speaking about the motherfucking juvenile, the now infamous juvenile fucking fiasco with his fucking remix of Back That Thing Up, which is Vax That Thing Up. Now, Juvenile, I don't know who didn't approach this nigga with a motherfucking with a bag and shit for this goofy ass shit. But this nigga that came out with, you know what I'm saying? It's been out for like two weeks now, 2 or 3 weeks. So everybody should be familiar with this shit. This nigga then somebody came up with the bright idea to remix Back That Thing Up with motherfucking Vax That Thing Up. And it's Juvenile, Manny Fresh, which Manny Fresh, goddamn, man, that's my guy, man. What the fuck? And Mia X remixing Back That Thing Up and shit. And I guess, you know what I'm saying? I don't know if they tried to get Lil Wayne, from the original dude shit. And he was like, hell no, you know what I'm saying? He probably got a little too much money to be getting involved in some stupid, goof ass propaganda shit like that. So they replaced Lil Wayne with motherfucking Mia X and shit. They got a I ain't gonna trip the amount, they doing what the fuck they got to do to, survive out here in these streets and get their money spread on. But goddamn, when my point is this: in trying to promote a motherfucker to get the vaccine, it's open motherfucking season. You can say whatever the fuck you want. These motherfuckers, and I'm not gonna play it or even say the lyrics of the motherfucking shit. The shit is horrible. It's garbage. But in them trying to convince people to get the fucking vaccination with the Vaxx that thing up motherfucking propaganda piece, um, these motherfuckers are talking about and treating COVID-19 as if it's an STD or some shit, as if as if, or what do they call it, STI now, whatever the fuck they call the shit, as if it's a sexually transmitted disease or some shit. You know what I'm saying? Like they sitting here talking about, you know what I'm saying? They put in the shit in the context of, in order for motherfuckers to fuck and shit, goddamn it, motherfuckers need to get vaccinated. In order for a motherfucker to give a motherfucker some pussy, oh, you got to get that shot. In order for you to get some dick, oh, you got to get that motherfucking shot. I mean, goddamn, COVID-19 ain't a ST motherfucking D to where you got to get some type of preventative something in order to engage in motherfucking sexual acts and shit. But this is the shit that they putting on a whole motherfucking song that they done put out here. That's some motherfucking propaganda ass bullshit. And ain't nobody batting an eye. Ain't nobody saying, oh, this is vaccine disinformation. COVID-19 isn't a sexual disease. It has nothing to do with fucking sex. So why are you painting in a light that in order to motherfucking engage in sexual activity with another person, they have to be fucking vaccinated and shit? Isn't that motherfucking COVID-19 fucking disinformation? Putting COVID-19 in the context of where it's sexually transmitted, you gotta have the vaccine in order to engage in sexual activity with another motherfucker. But you know what I'm saying? You can say anything in the world to convince a motherfucker to get the motherfucking shot. But if you got any type of questions or anything like that about the motherfucking shot, or you on the fence about some shit, or you just asking or putting shit out there, oh, they going through your shit with a fine tooth comb. They own your motherfucking heels about that motherfucking shit. They looking to ban you and block you and all this other motherfucking shit. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just showing you the contrast between if a motherfucker is pro going for this shit and a motherfucker is what they call an anti-vaxxer or even a neutral motherfucking party in the motherfucking matter. You still enemy of the motherfucking state. And speaking of the motherfucking enemy of the motherfucking state, these motherfuckers is going hard. The government, I don't even know who all this shit is in control of this shit. You know what I'm saying? But the government is going hard on some motherfucking shit. These motherfuckers have targeted individual fucking people and shit, and then gave them a motherfucking little snappy little name and every motherfucking thing. But it's basically government targeting, you know what I'm saying, to basically shun what they call the the disinformation dozen. This shit is fucking crazy that we're now living in a society where the government is targeting private fucking citizens and basically telling the rest of society, you know, shun these people. Don't listen to them. What they're talking about is bullshit. They crazy. We're basically doing everything possible to attack these people, um, short of locking them up and throwing away the key or executing them. You know what I'm saying? So instead of going at these people and going to them levels, we're gonna publicly shun them from the doors of the fucking White House down to all of the white media motherfucking conglomerates and shit. All have put out here information singling out 12 people and calling them the disinformation dozen. This shit is crazy. The country now is attacking their own citizens. They've just created 12 enemies of the motherfucking state and shit. And one of them is a fucking Kennedy. This shit is fucking crazy. And speaking of this, I'm about to play, and fair use is in full effect on this shit as motherfucking always. Speaking of this, I'm about to play a Forbes article where one of their I guess writers or whatever the fuck um has a whole spiel about talking shit about the the what has been coined as the disinformation dozen. And I'm just gonna say this: propaganda is a motherfucker. Propaganda is a motherfucker, and the shit that motherfuckers say, and the way they paint motherfuckers in a certain light, and the way that they just come out in full fledged a bunch of different platforms attack motherfuckers at the same time, it's fucking disgusting and ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? But without further ado, the this here's the Forbes article talking about deplatform the disinformation dozen.
Deplatform the disinformation dozen. I've been writing about anti-vaxxers for a dozen years now, warning of the threat to public health that they represent. Today, though, the threat is far greater than it was in the past, because now we're in the midst of a deadly pandemic, and vaccines are our only tool out of it. Merely educating the public on the benefits of vaccines isn't working in the face of a deluge of misinformation from anti-vaxxers. It's time to take away their platforms. A new report from the nonprofit Center for Countering Digital Hate, CCDH, reveals that 65% of the anti-vaccine disinformation online can be traced to just 12 people. This offers hope that we can actually do something. By removing a tiny number of accounts, millions of lives can be saved. The social media platforms have the power to do this, and they could do it virtually overnight. No, I'm not calling for censorship, and no, they don't have any First Amendment rights to spread their lies.
Now, this motherfucker say he's not calling for censorship, and then they want to fall back into, well, technically they're a private company, so they don't have to abide by, they aren't protected by a First Amendment right to free speech. So you're saying you're not calling for censorship, but you're asking for them to be deplatformed and silenced. You know what I'm saying? So motherfuckers will piss on you and tell you it's motherfucking raining and shit. You're asking for these people to be, your whole article is about deplatforming these people and silencing them. But you're saying you're not calling for them to be censored. And then you're asking, then you want to take advantage of the flaw of the social media system where they aren't regulated and they have full carte blanche reign to censor anybody, anytime, anywhere for whatever fucking reason. But you're saying no, you don't want them to be censored. The shit is sickening. And it gets worse. The propaganda gets much worse.
I'll get to that below. A bit of background: the modern anti-vax movement started in the late 1990s, focusing primarily on childhood vaccines, especially the vaccines against measles, mumps, and rubella, and using, initially, a fraudulent study published in The Lancet to scare people about a non-existent link between vaccines and autism. That study was eventually retracted, and the lead author, Andrew Wakefield, lost his medical license after his fraud came to light. But the damage was done. Anti-vaxxers and the misinformation they spread on social media caused vaccination rates to drop in the US and the UK, and in other countries, and diseases such as measles, which we had essentially eliminated in the US, started to re-emerge. Tragically, some people died of completely preventable diseases. One thing we've learned from the past 20 years is that once anti-vaxxers start spreading their misinformation, it's incredibly difficult to correct the falsehoods. Anti-vaxxers today have turned their social media efforts towards attacking the COVID-19 vaccines. They actually
Now, notice how the propaganda makes sure that they give their target some type of fucking title or name or something, so you'll have something to be able to focus on in a negative fucking light. So now you label these people as anti-vaxxers. Now they sound like they're a group of, you know what I'm saying, misfits and fucking weirdos or some shit that we should all, again, shun and attack and you know what I'm saying, don't fuck with or listen to anything they got to say. So the propaganda in this piece is extremely heavy. You know what I'm saying? They laying it on thick on this
They started attacking the vaccines before the vaccines even existed, a kind of reality twisting that would be funny if it weren't so tragic.
one. Now, remember I just showed you that they had a whole anti-vaccine policy that was created before the vaccines were released to the public. So it's positive for these people to put out anti-vaccine to put out policies saying what you can and can't say about vaccines, and a whole policy written out and shit before you even know the full extent and effects of the fucking vaccine or anything, to know whether the shit you're banning is either true, false, or in fucking different. That's cool to preemptively talk about it, and stop people from talking about this shit negatively. But if they preemptively talk about the vaccine before it was fucking released in a negative fucking light, then they wrong. They, you know what I'm saying, woo up the bed. So you see how, okay, when I do some shit before the shit even comes out, it's right. But when they do it before some shit even comes out, and okay, none of us have a full understanding of this shit. Okay, playing devil's saying none of us have a full understanding. How can you put out information saying one way or the other, or putting out policies and shit like that, and you don't have a full understanding? You are just as bad as them not having a full understanding and putting out information. So I mean, what the fuck? It's two sides. You know what I'm saying? It's always two sides to each argument. So who's to say that you're objectively right with your shit? None of this shit is fucking concrete and shit that's in stone. And that's my biggest issue about this whole fucking thing. Nothing is concrete in motherfucking stone. But you know what I'm saying? When you talking about pro this and pro that, then we gotta take your motherfucking word as if it's come straight from the motherfucking Bible itself and shit. Your mouth is a prayer book when you talk about your side and some shit. But when it comes to alternative perspective, oh, they're incorrect, they're bogus, they're anti-vaxxers, they're this, they're that. So propaganda has is insidious in its inception. You know what I'm saying? In the way that they do things, and you know, just let's hear what the rest of this guy got to say.
COVID-19 has already killed millions, and millions more may die before we get it under control. The only realistic way to end the pandemic is through vaccination. Fortunately, we now have multiple highly effective vaccines, as I've written about several times in the past year. Unfortunately, a large segment of the population has been grievously misled, and many people say they will never get vaccinated. The pandemic might persist for years, hurting all of us, if these people continue to refuse vaccines. The anti-vax movement constantly spreads lies, rumors, and misinformation in an effort to scare people away from vaccination. I won't repeat the lies here, because merely stating them gives them more credibility than they deserve. But the
Now, that's a big fucking thing, and that should go over a lot of motherfuckers' heads and shit. When doing research on this so-called dirty dozen of disinformation, you don't see none of these people that make these articles ever define what these people are saying that is disinformation. I've yet to see one fucking article that defines the disinformation these people are spewing. What are they saying? Tell us what they're saying is wrong. And you see the excuse he gives, and I guess this is the universal excuse that we're not going to dignify it by even repeating what their disinformation is. Because once you go down that rabbit hole of saying what the alleged disinformation is, then you have to say why is disinformation. You have to say, well, studies show that this is incorrect because of this. Studies show that this is incorrect because of that. So what's the easy way out? I'm not even going to dignify by even telling you the disinformation these people are spewing. But trust me, everything they saying, they full of shit. That's an easy out for anybody to sit up there and throw a motherfucker under the bus without having to actually engage in diving into the information that they claim is disinformation. So again, I'm not sitting here and saying, I don't know because they won't even tell us what the information that these people are saying. I don't even know what the information is to say whether their shit is correct objectively or subjectively or whatever the fuck it is. They don't even give us the opportunity to debate or vet any of this shit because they saying basically they're hitting you with the I'm white and I say so. It's disinformation, but we're not even going to dignify it with even responding to the shit or even disproving it. Just trust us is disinformation because they aren't saying exactly what we're saying about this shit. The shit is fucking weird. You know what I'm saying? But the way they want you to believe is just this is just the way shit's supposed to go. But he shall continue.
The anti-vaxxers and the social media platforms that spread their messages must be stopped. As
Mm.
President Biden said this past Friday, they're killing people. One particularly unfortunate development in the US is that the anti-vax position has become hyper-political. Even though Trump has claimed credit for developing the vaccines, and even though he and his family were vaccinated as soon as the vaccines became available, many leaders of the Republican Party and on right-wing media such as Fox News have embraced anti-vaccine positions and have told their millions of followers to refuse vaccination.
So now this guy says, I don't know why this shit then became political. This shit ain't supposed to be political. But guess what? All the Republicans and the right wing motherfuckers, they all embracing this not getting the vaccine shit. You just made the shit political. Just contradiction after contradiction.
Logically, it makes no sense that vaccine refusal has become a political issue, but it has.
Mm-mm-mm.
The good news is that we might actually be able to stop the anti-vaxxers. The CCDH report on the Disinformation dozen shows that these 12 people, who collectively have 59 million followers, are responsible for 73% of the anti-vax content on Facebook and 65% of anti-vaccine messages on other major platforms, including Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. This in turn means that if the social media platforms will simply shut down their accounts, and other sites that they control, such as the misleadingly named Children's Health Defense and National Vaccine Information Center, we will see a dramatic reduction in false vaccine information, virtually overnight.
So he's calling for their censorship, but he claims earlier he said he's not asking for anybody to be censored. Shit crazy.
So who are the Disinformation dozen? Here they are. Joseph Mercola, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Times Charlene Bollinger, Sherry Tenpenny, Ritza Islam, Rashid Vittar, Aaron Elizabeth, Sayer G. Kelly Brogan, Christiane Northrup, Ben Tapper, Kevin Jenkins. I've written about Mercola and RFK Jr. before, multiple times, but not the others.
And the reason I chose this article to present in this broadcast is because this is the only article that even names this so-called disinformation doesn't. You know what I'm saying? Now, this goes into what I'm saying. They don't even want to engage in the alleged disinformation itself. This is how you know it's propaganda because everybody's on code with the shit as usual. They don't even want to engage in revealing what the alleged disinformation is, nor do they even want to even basically parse out who the fuck the disinformation does and is to fucking begin with this shit. I've read about 10 articles about this shit where they talk about the disinformation does it and don't even name who the fucking the people are. So when they get ready to throw motherfuckers on the bus, when they get ready to have they one-sided arguments and shit out here, they know how to present the shit and they know how to basically play keep away with the real information that a motherfucker want and is looking for when diving into this information.
I'm intentionally not providing links to their anti-vax accounts, which include Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and dedicated websites, because any links simply add to their influence.
So this person that made this is a little off code because he really playing dumb and stupid to the motherfucking game. Everybody else knew not to even go into even stating their names or going into that long spiel of motherfucking explanation on what the fuck why they aren't doing what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? Now he just told you why, basically. You know what I'm saying? I don't want you all to know any of their info fucking information. I don't want you to know who's. Now the rest of them approached it as we're just going to not disclose the information because we basically have the same goal that this guy is talking about. We don't want you to know what the disinformation is. But my thing is this, you know what I'm saying? If this shit is really disinformation, if it's untrue, if it's incorrect, why do you have to shield grown adults from being able to look at the shit and judge for their fucking self, and you provide the correct information that should overwhelmingly disprove the disinformation? That shit is fucking simple. Just provide the correct information, provide your objective studies, provide your objective facts, provide your objective information to counter all of this incorrect information these people are putting out here. And I say take it further. Detail specifically what information they're putting out here that's incorrect. What's hard about that? Make them look like a fool. Show them the fuck up. Make them eat their fucking words. That's simple. That's easy to do. If it's truly disinformation, dive into it, disprove the shit once and for all, and say, no, this shit is wrong. Studies have proven this shit is bullshit. Studies have proven that shit is bullshit. And then we could all move on, and now you done made them all look like fools. You don't got to destroy their whole fucking social media fucking platforms and shit because of this one fucking topic of fucking discussion. Fucking vaccines isn't anybody's whole fucking walk of fucking life. Your social media platform doesn't revolve around just specifically one fucking thing. So why should they lose their whole platform regarding one fucking issue, which is fucking vaccinations, when you could easily just prove them fucking wrong and show that they don't know what the fuck they're talking about? Wouldn't that be just or even more effective? But no, you want to engage in censorship. You want to remove these people's platforms. You want to make sure they don't have a fucking a vehicle to spread their alleged disinformation that you won't even discuss to even disprove the information they got is fucking to prove that the shit is disinformation to begin with. You won't even address it to prove the shit is disinformation.
Mercola, for example, has become wealthy by selling dietary supplements with unproven and often bogus health claims, and by pushing anti-vaccine myths, as I wrote all the way back in 2010. Perhaps if people realized this, they wouldn't be so quick to believe him. It's time to deplatform the anti-vaccine disinformation dozen. In our current world, this can only happen if the companies themselves, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Google, delete their accounts. One might expect that these companies would have already done this, based on their own policies, but as the CCDH report states, despite repeatedly violating Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter's terms of service agreements, 9 of the disinformation dozen remain on all 3 platforms, while just 3 have been comprehensively removed from just one platform. This isn't a free speech or First Amendment issue. Private companies aren't required to provide a platform for anyone. And I'm not.
And again, here we go. Okay, I'm not asking for you to censor nobody, but let's fall back into the flaws and the technicalities of these social media platforms being private companies, even though they act as a fucking public forum, and we all understand and know that. You know what I'm saying? Let's fall back into abusing the technical flaws of the fucking system and deplatform these people and censor them because we don't like what they're fucking saying. You know what I'm saying? But everybody's so quick to talk about what's American and American values and the Constitution and all this shit. But all these motherfuckers, the American values of free speech, fuck all of that shit now, because you could technically censor them because you're a private company and this, that, and the third, and all of this technical bullshit. But the values of America is supposed to be free speech. But no, it's only they only want to respect. They only want the values to be upheld when it's in benefit of them. I've never heard nobody go on no disinformation jihad of being deplatforming all these white supremacist groups that's on fucking Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and all the other motherfucking shit. Where's your jihad against the white supremacist groups with their disinformation? You got motherfuckers coming on fucking what's this Joe Rogan show talking about black people are genetically inferior and prone to fucking violence because they got some type of fucking gene that makes them more prone to violence, and that white people are mild mannered because they come from a lineage of farmers and shit. You ain't where's the jihad to deplatform that disinformation? These motherfuckers are using antiquated eugenics arguments to come with this old ass black people are inferior ass argument and shit. Where's the you motherfuckers coming in, these knights in shining armor to speak up and say, oh no, these motherfuckers are spreading disinformation. Deplatform Joe Rogan for giving an outlet the same way they talking about Facebook should face consequences for giving an outlet to this bullshit. Same way Joe Rogan need to face consequences for giving an outlet to them white supremacists that he bring on this motherfucking show to spread all these motherfucking alt-right fucking disinformation fucking bullshit that they put out there with this eugenics and all this other bullshit. That's been objectively disproven long ago. Where are you? Where are you for any of that shit? Nah, but now you coming out, you know what I'm saying, talking about disinformation when it's going against your vaccine agenda and shit. You know what I'm saying? So the shit is just bullshit. They pick and choose what battles they want to fucking fight and what they want to call the social media motherfucking conglomerates out on. It's cool for them to get away with this, but nah, you can't get away with that. No, the shit should be even killed around the board. That's why I say you all take advantage of the fucking flaws in the regulations of fucking social media to begin with. If this shit was regulated properly, then we wouldn't even be having all these lopsided discussions where y'all give a fuck over here but don't give a fuck over there. And we talking about virtually the exact same circumstances and we just swapping out the subject matter.
Not calling for the disinformation doesn't to be arrested or legally punished for spreading misinformation, even though it is harmful, and even though they are indirectly killing people by their actions.
Now you see the shit that this motherfucker just said. He just called these people fucking murderers and shit because of them motherfuckers just speaking their fucking mind and saying their opinion about some shit. A motherfucker just say they fucking opinion, now they indirectly to murder people because of that shit. You see how ridiculous, how far they're going with the fucking propaganda? How far they're going to try to have these people looked at as fucking rogues of society. By the way, these people that are attributed to the hundreds of thousands of deaths of people out here and shit with their disinformation campaign that I won't even specifically define what part of their information is disinformation. Shit is bananas.
But private companies can kick anyone off their platforms whenever they want, and if these companies care at all about public health and about the health of their own customers, they'll delete all the accounts associated with these 12 people. Finally, let me get a bit philosophical. It's astonishing that we've created a society where we appear to be powerless to stop the spread of lies and distortions that are actually killing people.
So he finds that it's astonishing that we've created society that allows for free speech and people to have an open forum for discussion. He basically wants to live in a society where you can't say what you want to say when you want to say it, how you want to fucking say it. Everything you say, you should have to face dire consequences for if I don't like what you're saying. So he don't believe in free speech. He believes in a society, and he's astonished that we live in a society that allows free speech, whether they're saying something right, wrong, or fucking indifferent. He wants lying to be banned from society. Every fucking person on the entire face of the fucking earth lies. These lawyers walk into courtrooms every fucking day telling a mountain of fucking lies. You could even argue that since our society is so legally based, that the society is founded on lies. We have so many lies in our society, it's coming out of our fucking ears. But you suggest that now because people maybe some shit that they're saying may be a fucking lie, that no, it's astonishing that should be something done about that. Hey man, motherfucking move to Russia or some shit, brother. If you don't like the fact that we have freedom of speech and all this other motherfucking shit, maybe you need to go fuck with the Taliban or something. I don't know. But in America, you're supposed to at least technically have freedom of speech. Now we know there's countless examples where we don't. But goddamn, my man, you just openly like, man, fuck this free speech shit. We need to get rid of this shit right here. The new law of the land should be everybody I got to agree with everything that I say. Everything that I think is right. Everybody got to agree with that. That should be the new law of the land. Come on, man. This is some bullshit.
Our technology allows anti-vaxxers to reach millions of people and to convince those people to take actions that harm not only themselves, but all of us, because they're allowing the virus to spread and mutate. It appears that our governments simply don't have the power to force Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Google, and Instagram to shut down these accounts, so instead we rely on the whims of a tiny number of people who run those companies.
So now, this is why I say the man wants his cake and eat it too. Now he wants the government to force these people to do some shit. But then he argues that they're a private company, so they could, basically abuse their authority as being a private company to do what the fuck they want. But then you're saying, oh, well, it's a sad state of affairs that the government can't punish these companies for not doing what the fuck we want them to do, how we want them to fucking do it. Which I agree on a certain standpoint with that, as far as the government regulating these social media companies. But it wouldn't be the way he would like. It'd be the complete opposite because these are public forums disguised as fucking private fucking companies. They're beyond being a private company now. They're almost integral to society and shit. They're now a public fucking forum. They're a digital public forum. And as such, they should be regulated as a public forum in digital form, which basically means you can't infringe on free speech on these fucking platforms. I want the opposite of what this asswipe is talking about. But let's let him finish.
Should government step in here and force the companies to take action? I don't know, but so far the companies themselves have failed to take action on their own. Germany and France seem to have the best solution so far. By requiring vaccines in order to eat at restaurants and travel on planes and trains, they've convinced large swaths of their populations, including formerly vaccine-hesitant people, to get vaccinated.
They didn't convince them. They forced them. You call that convincing? Basically telling them You can't fucking live life. You have to. We're basically closing the walls in on you. That's forcing a motherfucker to do some shit. And you agree with that. You agree with the government passing regulations that basically box motherfuckers in to where the walls closing in on them until they agree to sign on the fucking dotted line and have an invasive procedure done against their fucking self that they may not even fucking agree with. And you're all for this type of shit. Shit is sick, man.
The US, by contrast, has 50 different policies for 50 states, including some policies that are straight up anti-vaccine. There must be a better way.
So this guy basically is calling for censorship and our rights to refuse invasive procedures to be stripped from us. So he wants censorship and he wants the government basically to invoke laws and standards that basically will force anybody that's not willing to get a vaccine to get a vaccine. Now, is that shit right? Is that shit the way shit's supposed to go? Is that American values? You know, this shit is just fucking crazy. But anybody that's saying some shit that's pro motherfucking vaccine and shit, it don't matter what the fuck they say. They could get away with whatever the fuck they want to say and shit. They say throw out the Constitution and fuck force these motherfuckers to get vaccines. Okay, as long as you didn't say don't get a vaccine, it's cool. Could target and calls for the public lynching of 12 fucking individual fucking people and shit for them to have their own personal viewpoints and views on some shit. You know what I'm saying? Hey, that's all good shit as long as you ain't saying don't get the vaccine. And again, I'm not saying don't get the vaccine. I'm not saying do get the motherfucking vaccine. I'm saying look at what they're trying to do. Look at the way they're trying to guide society. Look how they're trying to infringe on our fucking rights regarding this shit. Whether it be a vaccine, 9/11 shit, or whatever the fuck the situation is. Every time something happens, they're trying to rip rights away from us. They're trying to chip away at that motherfucking Constitution at all fucking costs. And that shit, and that's not fucking right. And we have to fight against we have to fight against censorship. We have to fight against motherfucking the stripping away of the Constitution, the stripping away of the Bill of Rights. That shit, we have to fight tooth and nail to protect our fucking rights. Despite assholes like this out here calling for all that shit to be thrown out the motherfucking window to make him fucking comfortable and shit. And people like him. But one thing in this vaccine conversation that none of the government officials talk about, but is objectively known to be an objective fucking fact. Nobody wants to talk about this shit. None of the pro-vaccine motherfuckers want to talk about any of this shit. And it's something that everybody should have to face and fucking recognize. But they don't want to talk about. And it's the past atrocities the government has perpetrated against its fucking people. And especially fucking black people. Now, in the government eyes, you know what I'm saying? It's always been government policy that it's better to ask for forgiveness than to ask for permission. You know what I'm saying? That has been their approach to every atrocity that they've orchestrated against our own fucking people. And like I say, especially against fucking black people. So when you look at things like the Tuskegee experiment, where they willingly gave black people fucking syphilis and shit. You know what I'm saying? To experiment on us to find out the long term effects of this shit. Nobody wants to talk about this. You know what I'm saying? Nobody wants to talk about the dark side of fucking vaccination. Nobody wants to talk about the dark side of just blindly trusting that the government got our best interests in motherfucking heart. Y'all don't want to talk about this. This guy right here wants to act like anybody that has any issue with a vaccine or anything like that, or anything any type of government shit or whatever the fuck is going on, they're just a Looney Tune fucking wacko. They don't know what the fuck they're talking about, and they don't have no basis or reasoning to feel the way they fucking feel. But look at the type of shit the government has fucking done in the past. And guess what? If in this situation the government wants to be doing some bogus extra ass motherfucking shit, they aren't gonna tell us now. The shit, they'll let the shit like Tuskegee, and like I say, it's better to ask for fucking forgiveness than fucking permission. They'd rather do whatever atrocity, whatever violating, whatever the fuck they want to do to a motherfucker right now. And then 50 years later, say, well, we're sorry. You know what I'm saying? Sorry for doing sorry for what the fuck happened 50 years ago with the vaccine debacle. With this. Yeah, we willingly knew this, we willingly knew that, but we moved forward any motherfucking way. You know what I'm saying? They'd rather ask for motherfucking for fucking forgiveness than to ask for fucking permission. And that's a lesson all black folks should fucking learn throughout all the fucking shit that we've been through in this motherfucking country. Look at the way motherfucking modern gynecology has come to fucking be. You know what I'm saying? They fucking did some of the sickest, most atrocious shit you could ever do to fucking black females in order to understand um females fucking genitalia and the way that they fucking operate and all of this shit. They did, you know, of course they was able to do experimentation on dead people, you know what I'm saying, to find out what they need to find out. But they got a better understanding exacting these sick ass experiments on live slaves, live black slaves, to understand the way the female organs and reproductive system fucking operates and shit. Gruesome experimentation. But this is what's led to the modern gynecology and shit. That gruesome fucking experimentation and shit. So again, they rather ask for forgiveness than they have asked for permission. They was willing to take it on the chin that they were doing some sick, twisted, fucked up ass shit to these black women. They didn't give no fuck because they felt like later on society fucking benefits from the shit. Who's to say? And I'm not saying that this is what's going on here and now, whatever the fuck. But who's to say this isn't what the fuck is going on? Who's to say they aren't willingly doing some type of experimentation now? You know what I'm saying? And they feel it's for the benefit of fucking society at a later and greater date. We'll sacrifice now for better, bigger, and better later. And again, I'm not saying this is what's happening. I'm just saying, who the fuck knows? It's an open-ended fucking question. You wouldn't know until 50 years later when the Freedom of Information Act and all this other shit, and motherfuckers go through all the red tape, and yeah, damn near everybody that was involved is fucking dead and shit. Then, oh yeah, okay, well, now it came to light that this happened. Now it came to light that that didn't happen. Again, they rather ask for motherfucking forgiveness for the past atrocities than to have asked for permission to commit them atrocities to begin with up fucking front. Now remember, it's an objective fact that we went to these motherfuckers that these vaccines skipped fucking animal trials and went straight to fucking humans. This is an objective fucking fact. To my understanding, this is the first time a vaccine they've done that. I may be mistaken, but from my studies and understanding of a true vaccine by a definition that I read to you early in the program, that it to develop a true vaccine by the definition of what I read early in the program that provides immunity, it takes 4 to 5 years to develop that type of vaccine. And those vaccines go through an extensive testing process that includes animal trials. But these vaxxers just want us to be like, oh, well, don't worry about any of that shit. Fuck Tuskegee. Fuck animal trials. Fuck the fact y'all developed this shit in record time. The fastest vaccination ever, fastest alleged vaccination, you know what I'm saying, created, the fastest shot ever created in fucking history. By far, this is the fastest developed vaccination, and they expect us to believe, oh, it's just because we've become that technically advanced in our society that they can develop this vaccine in this record amount of time. Hmm. The shit is just interesting to me. You know what I'm saying? Um, I pretty much just said everything that needs to be said about this topic. I'm again, who knows if YouTube is gonna try to snatch this motherfucker down or whatever the fuck. But my point isn't to tell you to take the vaccine, not to take the vaccine. My point isn't to say the vaccine is wrong or fucking right. My point isn't to throw the vaccine under the motherfucking bus. My point is to examine the behavior of these entities controlling shit behind the scenes. That's the point of this video. What are they doing? How are they operating? What is their actual goals and agendas? Again, this isn't a condemnation on the vaccine. This is a condemnation or an examination of the government and how they operate and how they've operated in the past. And just for people to open their eyes to just look at shit from an objective standpoint instead of just taking what a motherfucker say and just going along with it just because they hit you with the I'm white and I say so. You know what I'm saying? So again, stay woke, you know what I'm saying? Do your research, you know what I'm saying? Do your studying, understand what you're doing, understand what you're putting in your body. You know what I'm saying? Whether you decide to take the vaccine or not, you know what I'm saying? Just do your research and have a full understanding of what you're getting yourself involved in and what's the potential risk. You know what I'm saying? And even for people that decided not to take the vaccine, you all need to do your research as well and understand the potential risk of not getting vaccinated. Again, this isn't a condemnation of the shit. It just is what it is. My focus more is on uh, the censorship, the government regulation, the the greedy grab for the power struggle. You know what I'm saying? The grabbing for power. That's what I'm worried about. That's what my focus is on. But again, it's your man, Old Man Winter. And like I said before, I'm gonna need y'all to like. I'm gonna need y'all to jump in that comment section, give me some feedback. I'm gonna need y'all definitely to subscribe. You know what I'm saying? If you aren't subscribed already, I'm gonna need you to subscribe. So you start, you know what I'm saying, getting this hardcore real raw on a regular basis. And I'm gonna need y'all, you know what I'm saying, if you are subscribed, to hit that bell notification so you can get all the notifications when I drop some shit, you know what I'm saying? So you don't miss an episode of the No Holds Barred or the live streams or anything that I put out here. You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna need y'all to share my shit, you know what I'm saying, as usual. Like I always say, spread the wealth. Don't keep Old Man Winter all to yourself. You know what I'm saying? The only way the message is gonna get expanded, you know what I'm saying, we get a bigger following is, you know what I'm saying, if you all help the platform out and share this shit with your buddies and your friends, turn them on to what the fuck a motherfucker talking about. If you here for, the shit talk or the information or a combination of both or whatever the fuck it is, you know what I'm saying? I'm here to give it to you, and you know what I'm saying? We trying to build a community here, so I'm gonna need y'all to help me out on that tip. You know what I'm saying? Share my shit, and we out. Peace.